Hi, everybody. My name's Judy Utah, and I am the chair of Autism in Entertainment. And we're just so excited to have you here today for our webinar on, Marlene wrote this, let's see, God's Game, the YouTube cartoon with a neurodivergent twist. And it's going to be a webinar with quite a twist because we have all sorts of people lined up who are going to be joining us throughout the webinar. So let me get things started. Just for you to know, our mission is about increasing employment for people on the autism spectrum in the entertainment industry. And we do that through trying to make sure that neurodiversity is an important factor when employers are thinking of inclusion, that people on the spectrum have lots of talents and skills and superpowers that the entertainment industry would be wise to take advantage of, and that some of the government resources and tools out there to help organizations bring on this talent are available, and explaining those to companies. And then finally, helping you on your journey. And this webinar is part of that. It allows us to show just different types of things that are available, and so that you can learn and help you figure out, what do you do next? Like everything, it costs us money to run our organization, and we've introduced membership. So if you're not already an Autism and Entertainment member, we invite you to join. We have over 100 individual members now, so we're really thrilled to have you, and that helps us keep things going. Just some exciting news in terms of money. We've got some exciting news of an activity coming up this Sunday. And Danny, your picture's right there. Here is one of the performers at our extraordinary fundraiser. It's going to be at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood this Sunday at 1:30. Tickets are $50 to help fund Autism and Entertainment. We have 6 amazing comedians: Alice Payne, who is the mother of a young man with autism, and the wife of Britton Payne, who is one of our industry advisors; Jeremiah Watkins, Josh Mirowitz, who is on the spectrum; Nick Novicki, the creator of the Easter Seals Development Disability Film Challenge; Willie Hunter will be there, who will be our MC; and Danny Bowman will be making her second live appearance at the Laugh Factory. We're also going to be premiering a new film from Alex Estrella called Extraordinary Character, that's about a theater program in San Diego. And we have performances, both musical and skits, from some of our educational partners: Jazz Hands for Autism, the Miracle Project, Performing Arts Studio West, Spectrums Labs, and Yes I Can, Music Through Unity in Education. It is going to be an amazing day, and we hope that you will buy tickets. If you go to our website, you can get a link to the event, as well as all the millions of emails that I've been dropping in your box with information on registration. So this is a friend of our friends from God Gang. This is Matt Brunet, commonly known as Animat. And Animat does a quarterly webinar with Autism and Entertainment and the Orange County Asperger Support Group. And his topic for September is the history of stop motion animation. So information will be on our website for you to register. And members of Autism and Entertainment get a $5 discount on the tickets. So instead of paying $15, you can pay $10. Also, I mentioned Alex Estrella and his film. Well, we have our creator community, which is a multi-location, fantastic event we do quarterly. This time in Irvine, it's going to be at the Quail Hill Community Center, and in LA, it'll be at the Ed Asner Family Center. and it's from 5:30 to 8. And then there's also virtual connection if you would like to attend virtually. And we have some really exciting guest speakers. Dea Lawrence, who is the CMO and COO of Variety, is going to talk about kind of creating your content, creating your brand. This was from a discussion that we had with Danny and Marlene at a lunch we had a couple months ago. So we're excited that she will be on hand. Joey Travolta will be discussing his new show, Lights, Camera, Friendship on the Spectrum. And Matt Asner and Nava Paskowitz-Asner, who are the founders of the Asner Family Center, will share some information about the center. So it should be a really great event, and it's a good opportunity for you to connect with other people in the industry or who have the similar interest as yourself. Following the event, we had a couple people sign up for one-on-ones. Member George Zhao, who joined Autism and Entertainment in March 2027. I think he was on our Disney studio tour as well. So he's been taking advantage of some of the Autism and Entertainment activities. And he's going to have a discussion with Rob, and Gail Blatt, who's an educator in San Diego, is going to be talking to Nimrod after the meeting. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing and welcome Marlene to host this wonderful webinar. I just want to make an announcement about Marlene. We all know Marlene and love Marlene, but Marlene just got a new role leading an affinity group at the Television Academy, and maybe she'll tell us a little bit about that today. But welcome, Marlene, and
thank you.
Have a great time.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Disclaimer from up top. I'm a little bit infirm today, and my voice is failing me. So I have a most accomplished understudy named Cathy McAuley, who is here to step in and be the swing Broadway style, take over all of my solos and dance breaks. So so thank you all for being here. As Judy said, I'm Marlene Sharp. I work with Autism and Entertainment and Orange County Asperger's Support Group on outreach and PR and marketing. So you might see me lurking in your LinkedIn feeds. That's where I live most of the time, on LinkedIn, on our LinkedIn group. And then also I do the Facebook and Instagram and whatever other platforms we happen to be using at the moment. So welcome. Some of you I know from just interacting on LinkedIn and at events and so forth. But it's my pleasure today to bring God's Gang back to Autism and Entertainment, because this is not God's Gang's first time here. They have been very instrumental in the whole journey of God's Gang, of Autism and Entertainment being at the point where it is today. So we've got two core guests. We've got Nimrod May, who is the creator of God's Gang, a very successful viral YouTube cartoon and animation franchise. Oh, yes. Thank you, Misha, for putting my LinkedIn bio on there. Yes, please link with me. I love that. Thank you. Thank you. And and guess what? Nimrod and Rob are all on LinkedIn. Cathy's on LinkedIn. Danny's on LinkedIn. Some of the people who you're going to see and hear from today. So we all like to link. So go for it. So God's Gang originated with Nimrod. And so Nimrod and Rob Kutner, who is the head writer of God's Gang, are our featured guests today. But we have secret surprise guests in the audience. I hinted at a couple already, Cathy McAuley being one. So we'll definitely hear from all of the secret surprise guests. But maybe we should tackle this endeavor like the Bible and go from the beginning, of God's Gang, and start with Nimrod, the orchestrator of this whole world, and he can tell you where it all started. And then actually LinkedIn plays a part in this whole process too. So I can't wait to talk about how LinkedIn was very instrumental. in our meeting and so forth.
True. So at the beginning there was light, right? But more than light and obviously love, I've realized there are no coincidences in life. Took me time to understand that. And it all originated back in 2006 when I used to work for the Disney channels. We've launched a new channel, which was the legacy of the Saban's animated library, Sonic the Hedgehog and Transformers, Inspector Gadget. But the most famous title was the Power Rangers. And I worked as a marketeer for Disney in launching a new channel that was called Jetix. And all the Disney executives were invited into this amazing Disney summit that took place in Orlando. Then they boarded us on their Disney cruiser. And we were engaged with different kinds of workshops. And one of them was, listen, there's a yellow sponge and there's this adventurous girl with her booted monkey that's really doing well. What can Disney do to do better? So I remember I stood on stage and there were about 120 Disney executives there looking at me, waiting for me to say what I think we can do. And I remember standing there and I told them, I have two ideas. One, why don't we fly the first kid into orbit? And there was silence in the room because obviously space tourism was not very evolved back then. And it's also not that evolved now, even though we have SpaceX and Amazon's origin. So I told them, I have another idea. You just paid a lot of money for acquiring the library of Saban, and in this library you have the Power Rangers. Why don't you make them interfaith? And everybody in the room clapped their hands. I told them, you can make the Power Rangers, they're fighting aliens. Why don't you show that, even though they come from different cultural or religious backgrounds, they can work together? I grew up in a very pro-peace family in Israel. And much to my surprise, a lot of people clapped their hands. And luckily for me, or for us, it never came into maturity. So when I left Disney back in 2007, I said to myself, that's an idea I should explore. And I've designed basically the first universe of God's Gang with the existing known characters as Crisscross and Taekwondo Hindu and Sumo Slim and Ninju and the Baddies. But I was missing a very special thing. I was missing the understanding of what it really means for us, the human existence. And there was something very unique that happened to me back then. Cut a long story short, I went on a search for God. And when you go and you search for answers, and I'm not going to share the entire adventure, I can do it on a separate conversation if you want. I've realized after many years that there is something beyond our existence, our egoic existence. Some people would call it God. Some people would call it the creator, source, whatever. I call it one in love. Basically, I've realized that everything is interconnected through this. In physics, it's called the quantum field, the quantum entanglement. And if everything is interconnected, then there's only one energy in the world that can make this oneness thrive. And that's the energy which is called love. And with this understanding, I felt ready enough to share a story of unity, of coexistence, of interfaith. And that's when God's Game came to life back in April 21, when we basically registered a company under the name of God's Gang Limited. And here we are now, 4 years later. We've produced 8 episodes, 40 minutes of animation. We have about 2 million subscribers on our social channel. We've been joined with amazing people who I see here on this call, and I'm very honored and humbled and excited. We have here our head writer, who's a 5 Emmy and a Grammy winner. We have you, Marlene, that, I never imagined for us to have this conversation when we basically first interacted. And obviously, you already disclosed Cathy, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna spoil this conversation. So that's how basically God's Gang came to life. And what I want to say is, I really hope it's barely the first sentence in a never-ending story. And if you know the never-ending story, the luck dragon will come eventually. So here we are.
Thank you, Nimrod. All of this origin story that you've been telling, it sparked some questions in the chat, some things that I had taken for granted that people know, but maybe they don't. So one important question that somebody asked was, does Saban have a theater around Beverly Hills? And that's obviously a question from somebody who lives here in LA. And the answer is yes, that is true. And I assume that most people here know what Power Rangers is, but maybe not, or maybe quick origin story of Power Rangers. Yes, it is from Japan, and it was exported to all other places in the world after it had been a success there. And Nimrod, would you say, and Rob, this is a question for you too, would you say that God's Gang is a lot like the Power Rangers, or a little bit, or?
So it's definitely they were the inspiration, but I think that what makes God's Gang very special is what we call the heart that it's pulsing on, and this is a very special spiritual heart, which is the journey of Rob and my own journey in the world of spiritualism and religion and metaphysics and mysticism. Rob, would you like to add?
Well, I thought I could introduce my role in this also. So my origin story is I spent almost 20 years writing for late night comedians like Conan O'Brien and Jon Stewart. And in 2018, I unexpectedly lost my job with Conan because the show is going to a smaller format, and I needed work. And at the same time, I was trying to change from late night into animation. I was very interested in it, but it is difficult to get into animation. And um, after I found out about my job, I have a good friend and a collaborator on projects who's one of the top comedy writers in Israel named Omri Marcus. And he said, if you're interested in the animation project, you should see what my friend Nimrod has, something he's working on, but I have to warn you, it's a little crazy. And I was like, well, I don't know why that's a warning. I like crazy, right? Crazy just makes me want to see it even more. So he showed me the concept art for the characters that you know now from God's Gang. And just the concept in one line about four superheroes from different faiths who all work together. And I immediately realized that my friend was right, that it was crazy in the best possible sense of the word, in the way that crazy ideas are the things that change the world and make things better. It was crazy to try to land people on the moon. It was crazy to make a movie about, toys that come to life and talk. Some of the best things in life are crazy. So when I recognized it, I thought this is something that not only did it seem like I was on a journey as well, because right when I most needed an opportunity and in this field it opened up for me, it was a really important idea. And it's something that I've connected with as a person of faith and also as a person who's Jewish, but who was raised going to Christian school. So living in interfaith environments, I found it really interesting to learn how to reach out and respect all the faiths. But mostly, uh, for me, uh, I want to make things that are important that don't feel like they're something you learn in school, but are entertaining, that are engaging because they're funny and they're exciting, and get people in with good values and good messages by forgetting about all that stuff and just creating a good, funny story that lives those values.
So, Rob, did you fly to Israel to meet Nimrod from the get-go? He hired you?
No, we worked over Zoom for really years, I think, and we only met on the day that we met you. Marlene brings people together. She's like this magnetic force. No one can resist.
Well.
Pink force.
Yeah, so I guess we're going to jump ahead in time, unless you want to talk about those early development and how you guys collaborated. How was it to work on Zoom? Because you were starting something brand new and in two wildly different time zones. So how was that?
So it's either I woke up very early or Rob stayed up very late, and the other way around. Obviously, I think COVID was an opportunity for people to realize that we can be very efficient when we stay at home, especially when we're in need of some kind of activity. And in the God's Gang project is spread over 15 countries. So there are people who are working here. For example, our martial arts choreographer is in the UK. Our director is in Germany. The studio is in Indonesia. So it's been really great, basically sitting in one place. And I call it traveling without moving. We've been traveling all around the world, and we've assembled an amazing team of very talented people. And we managed to pull something that I call magic. And that was thanks to COVID. Otherwise, it has been more complicated, I would say. Interactions between Rob, our director, Ehud from Germany, were almost in a real time, unless we were sleeping. So really, it's like playing ping pong with some kind of latency, depends on who's where and what time it is for him. But we managed to get things done in a very efficient way. And I would also add to it that we were pretty much very well aligned in the way that we saw things. So there were almost no discussions. We were always on the side of agreeing, oh, that's great. Oh, that's another great idea. And basically, it rolled into wonderful scripts and obviously a great show, which I'm inviting everybody to watch and subscribe. And maybe it's also an opportunity to say that we started in English, but in the coming weeks, we're going to be launching in different native languages, in French and in Spanish and Portuguese, and Arabic and Russian and Japanese and Korean to follow. So we're going to have God's Gang accessible in many different languages throughout YouTube. We also have a mobile game that is about to be introduced to the world, an amazing platform game, an adventure game that's going to be coming out end of October. And so a lot of exciting things are currently happening with this very small project that is managed independently. And I'm really looking forward to see what would come out of it.
Oh, we have a question. Is it dubbed in those languages or subtitled? This is an important question.
Both.
Oh, wow.
Dang.
Amazing. That's great. Oh, and George Zhao has an important question too. He wants to know if God's Gang needs any cast members.
So I'm sure that in the coming stories and the coming episodes, we will grow the team, the God's Gang allies, and we would definitely need more voice actors to join the project.
Yeah, and we're getting to that interesting part in the story where the God's gang and autism and entertainment collide, and there is casting that took place from our community here. So back in 2023, the end of 2023, I think, I was lurking about on LinkedIn, as I do most every day, all day, and I read some articles about what Nimrod was doing, and it was on a number of different LinkedIn groups about animation, because my background is in animation too, especially boys action animation. And so what Nimrod was doing was so interesting to me because it combined elements of Power Rangers, which I worked on, as well as interfaith and spiritual ideas. So I just contacted him on LinkedIn. I think that's what happened, Nimrod. I just sent you an invite, and then you accepted. He didn't know me at all. He was in Israel. I'm in Los Angeles. And then I sent him a little note saying, hey, this is so cool what you're doing. Maybe we should Zoom sometime, and I'd love to find out more. And then we did. And then at that time, I was working with Judy Utah on preparing the Autism and Entertainment Conference that happened last April 2024. And so Nimrod happened to ask me, what else are you working on right now? And I always have a million projects and clients and so forth. So I was giving him the laundry list. And when I said I was working on the Autism and Entertainment Conference, it was an aha moment for Nimrod, because he'd always had an interest in autism. You've studied it, isn't that right?
It's more than that. I was on an advisory board trying to help this Israeli startup that was basically developing products for the autistic audience to be more engaged in the way that content is being showcased and consumed. And I was fascinated by this and other researchers that have been studying about autism and neurodivergent. And me, as somebody who is very into spiritualism, I've realized that the autistic people has a way better connection to the world beyond the physical world. And that for me was a gateway and opportunity to tap into what I call different dimensions, where the oneness can be experienced and the love can be experienced. And that actually made a lot of sense to me. So I said to myself, well, I'm privileged enough to be on the advisory board of that company. And then I met you. And again, going back to no coincidence in life. And we connected, and here we are. I remember you asked if we can help, and of course we will do everything we can, especially when we're talking about special people with special talents. And it's just overwhelming and exciting for us.
And you offered Nimrod, which was amazing, because no one ever offers. I usually have to, so I was in charge of sponsorships for the conference, and usually I have to pull every little penny out of people, and they do it kicking and screaming. And so I only just had to like plant one little seed with you, Nimrod. And then you were like, oh, could we contribute to the conference? You made it so easy for me. And so, so then Nimrod made a generous donation, and then I told Judy, and Judy said, wow, Nimrod can have a booth on our exhibit floor. He's pledged the threshold that we have set for booth exhibitors. And so then Nimrod already had a trip planned to Los Angeles, but not coinciding with the conference. It was right before the conference. So that's why we made an appointment to get together before the conference, just to meet and for me to get some materials from him to set up at the conference. But then, surprise, Rob was there at the meeting too. How did that happen?
Ooh,
Everywhere.
world's least scary jump scare.
Yeah.
So Nimrod, who I had not met after working with for years on this project, says, "Hey, I'm going to be in Beverly Hills, which is near to where I live, near to where both I and what was the question about Beverly Hills earlier?
Oh yeah, the Saban Theater.
The
Very
Saban
near the
Theater, yes.
Saban
Both I and the
Theater. That's
Saban
where we
Theater are
met.
both in
Yeah.
Beverly Hills. So he says, "Can you meet me? And I want you to meet this person, Marlene." I was like, "Okay, whatever." Um, and I meet Marlene, and Nimrod tells me about this autism entertainment thing, and he says, and we bought a table to display there, and this is the same Nimrod who's been telling us for months, "Oh, we're out of money. We have no money at God's Gang. I had to sell my third kidney to raise funds for God's Gang." And I was like, what you bought a what?" And he just said, I just have a very special feeling about this community and I want to work with them. And that was it. And so then I showed up at the AIE conference. I just sat at the table and I was just overwhelmed by how many great people I met and just so much, passion and enthusiasm. Just, I'm not someone who's comfortable with sales or marketing. Like I really hate actually having to, call out to, "Hey there, mister." Um, I kind of hate that whole thing. It's not, I'm a writer, so I prefer to stay behind the camera or produce things and figure things out on paper and not be on camera. But it was so easy and just, delightful with the AIE conference. Everyone was just really enthusiastic about learning about new things, meeting people, working together to create new things, lowering bridges between the entertainment and the autistic community. And I just had fun talking to people all day long at that, and it led to some other endeavors. So that connection with whatever Marlene, uh, it turns out she and I had a lot of sort of interest in common, besides neurodivergence and like comedy and like podcasts, and um, so we put together an idea for a podcast. My friend was starting a podcast studio and creating his own ideas for pilots for podcast. And so we created a podcast together about neurodivergence, and we called upon our friend Cathy to bring us some of the fruits of the Spectrum Labs voice talent pool to reenact a bunch of famous actors and directors who helped us bring the story to life in the podcast. So we had this great opportunity to not only talk about neurodivergence, but actually bring talented neurodivergent people into not only the conversation we have, but also the performance.
And one of those actors is here today, Atticus Baldwin. Atticus played a very interesting role in that.
Yes.
It was perfect.
He was perfect. And Cathy played a role too. And
So that is perfect.
yeah. Who else do you want to?
Marlene, I added Atticus to the, as you go along, I'm adding people to the spotlight. So Atticus is there.
Yay, Atticus. Atticus, I know that was so many roles ago for you. You've had so many interesting things going on. Do you remember doing Genius Revisited?
You mean the God's Gang episode that I did?
No, before that.
Podcast.
When you played a very famous actor.
Wait, Genius Revisited?
Kelsey Darnell was in it too.
Jake Tash.
And Cathy and Caroline and Jake.
I don't really remember that off the top of my head.
Well, we'll have to play it for you again sometime.
Was he in it?
Yeah. Atticus played
Malcolm McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell. That's right. Yeah, he had like the British accent and he really stretched his range.
Listen, Marlene, Atticus works. He can't remember every single little topic.
I know. I'm sorry, Atticus. I'm putting you on the spot. But you did a great job, as did we had a number of Spectrum Lab students, thanks to Cathy. Cathy curated a group for us to use in this podcast. And that planted seeds in Rob's and my head on who would be good for other things. And what came almost right after that were these opportunities to voice characters on God's Gang. So Rob introduced Cathy and a group of the Spectrum Laboratory actors to Nimrod and also Ehud Landsberg, who's the director. And then there was a super secret audition process, right?
Right.
There was some
Yes.
It sounds so conspiracy theory here.
We all look
Marlene,
Yes.
Marlene, I have a quick question I want to ask. The
Yes.
show that I was in with Chelsea Darnell, Jake Tajian, and Cathy,
Yes.
where I played a character named Malcolm McDowell.
Yes.
I forget, was that animated or was that live camera filmed or was it just voiceover? Like,
It was voiceover only. It was a podcast.
oh.
So yes, so we had your voice recorded, and we did film a little bit in the studio with Rob and me and Chelsea Darnell and Jeremiah Watkins. He's somebody that some of you might know from our Neurodivergent comedy nights at the Laugh Factory, which P.S. is another innovation brought to us by the mind of Rob Kutner. So there's a lot of things that we've been doing that all trace back to Rob, which then traces back to Nimrod. So God's Gang is really the glue of all this work that we've had. So thank you. Thank you for
Marlene, I
that.
just wanted to add that the connection to Spec Labs came through the Autism and Entertainment conference itself.
Mhm.
And before that, I worked with Cathy on the casting and recording of our Voice of God, which ironically fits into this theme, which was Tyler Berman. And so Cathy and I had been connected on that. And I think it's ironic that it was the Voice of God, just happens to be. And that, I think, Marlene, is where you might have met Cathy, or maybe you met him before. I don't know. But it all had to do with the Autism and Entertainment Conference as well.
Cathy and I had a lot of interaction before the conference, thanks to Tyler Berman, who found me on LinkedIn and
You can check
did not
it.
let me go.
Yeah.
The very
Magic wand
talented
was-
Tyler.
Tyler.
No, he's not here today. I guess I think he's working his regular job.
Yes.
Which is unfortunate because he does love to be on these webinars and such. But yeah, so the casting happened, and then we had Cathy, Atticus, and Tyler, who became part of the cast of God's Gang. And Cathy, maybe you could talk about the casting process a little bit.
Sure. Well, first of all, just to all the 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Danny Bowman is the reason that I'm even here, because Danny and my daughter went to college together. And when my daughter, Danny graduated, and when my daughter was getting ready to graduate, Danny, she was looking for an externship, and Danny was working at Spectrum Laboratory with them. And she said, oh, and I was thinking Nickelodeon because I'm me. And she said, no, Spectrum Laboratory. I said, I don't know if that's a real place. Doesn't sound real to me. I don't know what that is. I don't. So then we're driving in Van Nuys, and I go, it's definitely not a real place. So I'm driving there. We get there, and that's where I met Jason and Garth, and Remington went over and was, her apprentice. And Jason said, you do voiceovers. Can you come speak on a Saturday? And I said, okay, all right. So I did. And that was 7 years ago. So they had me at hello. And I have to comment on what Nimrod said about people on the spectrum being so spiritual. My daughter at 3 years old went to the Mind Institute because my daughter is on the spectrum. And their diagnosis of her was a spiritual savant, because she knew books of the Bible that I never taught her, right? I mean, like a whole thing, she would walk into church and see God and see Jesus and say, "How you doing, Dad?"
Wow.
I'm not
Everyone-
surprised. I'm
Everyone
not
was stunned.
surprised.
And she looked at me and goes, "Not my dad, Kenny, my dad before him." And the priests are coming towards me. I'm like, let's get out of here. Let's go. But it's so true. It is so true. They're so, because they work from love. And, you know, and when I first had this opportunity and, you know, I was stalking Rob, as we do, was that what you're doing is that love is the basis of everything. And if it's an octopus head, that all these legs are just whatever we named it, whatever religion we named it. But it all comes back to that nucleus. And I just love that. I love that we were going to have this, I call it like the Scooby-Doo gang, that we're going to fight crime. That's how I saw it. And fight, you know, the evils and the negativity and all that. And I just thought, oh, well, I have the people. I mean, I have the people, you know, Atticus and Tyler, and I could go on and on and on, because they work from such a pure place and they're so tapped in and gifted. You know, it's very rare that you can ask a 20-year-old to do a little flavoring of Don Knotts. And they go, oh, do you want Don Knotts on Andy Griffith? Do you want him on Mr. Lippett? What code are we talking here? So,
Cathy,
yes,
I have a quick question.
sure.
Something about, you know, you said rare to ask a 20-year-old and all that stuff.
Mhm.
And I was thinking, besides me and Tyler and a few of those other folks that you mentioned, I was wondering, what about Jeremy? Would you consider him being a good advocate for autistic artists too?
Sure. I don't think it's based on age. I just think it's based on, you know, your ability and your ability to want to do and your ability to have a voice and be seen.
Well,
Sure.
guess,
And
guess what, Atticus? Jeremy, you're talking about Jeremy Ebenstein, right?
that's him. He's older than both me and Tyler, but he's still
Right.
one of my best friends.
I know. Well, guess what? He already worked with Rob. Rob cast him in something else.
Did he now? Did you?
Yes,
Rob?
yes,
Yes.
Rob,
Rob, you're
talk
like
about that.
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin who doesn't eat bacon.
Right.
Hey,
Exactly.
Kosher.
hey, you know, Rob,
Yes.
Rob, I was just thinking, speaking of like what you were saying, something about, you know, mentioning Kevin Bacon, and then you mentioned something earlier about Jon Stewart and some other folks that you worked with. Did you ever work with any action adventure movie actors like Tom Cruise or Keanu Reeves? Anyone like that?
I know, Rob,
What?
Paul, Ant-Man.
I didn't work with him
Paul
though.
Rudd?
directly. I didn't work with him directly though.
Oh, but you met him?
Well, I wrote, if you saw the last Ant-Man movie, he's written.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
Yes, that's the one. Did you see it, Atticus?
I did, yeah.
Remember that at the beginning of the movie, he's reading his memoirs, he's reading his autobiography to a crowd.
Uh-huh.
So Marvel made a real book out of that, and they had me write the book as if I was Ant-Man, as if I was Scott Lang.
Aw, that's sweet.
So I don't know if that sounds like action adventure, because mostly I was in front of a typewriter.
Well, yeah, I do like mostly, well, you know, when it comes to movies, my favorite movie genres have to be action adventure, like DC Comics, Marvel Comics, or Spy Kids, Mission Impossible, and so on.
And so Danny, her involvement with, you know, Cathy and her daughter, I mean, that was great when they first got together. But Danny's mission with Danimation, Danny, you're on mute.
Excuse me, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah,
Okay.
Go ahead.
So what we do at Danimation, our mission is to educate, elevate, and empower individuals on the autism spectrum through the art of animation. We give the students the tools and confidence to transform their passion into careers by showing them that if I can do it, they can do it. And that's what I was been demonstrating at Spec Labs. And in addition to that, this mission is closely aligned with Autism Entertainment, as both organizations work to increase opportunities, representation, and confidence for autistic individuals pursuing creative careers. By helping students develop skills and self-belief, We at Deanimation support the shared vision of building a more inclusive environment where neurodiverse voices are not only welcomed but celebrated. And that's what Spec Labs, Deanimation, and Autism Entertainment are working together for this main goal.
Yes.
Yeah, that's always been Danny's goal since she was, in
Interesting.
college. When
Hey,
she
Yeah.
Kathy's daughter.
Nimrod.
Yes.
Now,
Oh, sorry.
I've only seen a few episodes of God's Gang, but I want to tell you, a lot of the things that they have in the God's Gang series kind of remind me of some other animated and live action enchanted Renaissance programs like Cinderella and Lord of the Rings, and because they have those magical enchanted vibes and all that stuff.
Well,
Nice.
I was inspired by a lot of these books and movies. As a kid, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons, and I read the books of J.R.R. Tolkien, like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And
I didn't play Dungeons and Dragons myself, but I did see the movie Dungeons
it
and
was a
Dragons Honor
great
Among
movie.
Thieves.
Dungeons & Dragons is such a popular it's been such a popular game that really inspired a lot of other medias, like for example the popular Netflix series Stranger Things.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a great series as well. When I grew up as a kid, there was no multi-channel TV, nor satellite, or cable, or streamers, so we barely had these few shows. But I did watch Scooby-Doo and Fat Albert, and there was an animated show about the Harlem Globetrotters, which was amazing. And by the way, I might have a very big surprise coming that is associated with the Harlem Globetrotters. So when the time would come, I would share.
Great.
So Atticus, it's great that you noticed, because these are my inspirations when I grew up as a kid and as a teenager. I also used to collect comic books. I had a lot of Spider-Man comic books, and I even have some here, very old books. I can share later if you want to see them.
I bet he does.
Well, Nimrod, I'm just wondering, out of curiosity, besides, I'm wondering, because God's Gang is a fairly new series, besides the enchanted frying pan that I played in that one episode where I had to do my best Gordon Ramsay voice impression, are there any other enchanted characters in God's Gang who are like talking inanimate objects besides that one, or anything?
So in that specific episode, there was also basically, I don't want to spoil the stories, but in that specific episode, the heroes, they're engaged with their own fears, and they needed to find way to overcome these fears, because when you're activated by fear, you are basically in some kind of automatic surviving mode, and you're not acting in the best way. You're thrown into the back seat of your body and mind. So to answer your question, Taekwondo Hindu, or Hindu hero, was concerned. Her greatest fear is that our planet is burning, and bad things are happening there. So she was engaged with a burning planet, and she needed to somehow overcome that fear. And there is the Jewish character that met what is called the alter ego. Our Jewish character is Ninju. He's an inspiring ninja, and he met Jiu-Jitsu, who was a bigger and stronger alter ego that threatened him that he might replace him in the group. But joined by their Buddhist ally, Kung Fu Da, she taught them a very unique way on how to overcome fears. And that's actually a real way for us. Whenever we are engaged in some kind of a situation where we become afraid of something, we can all adopt a very simple technique to overcome our fears. And that is applied through breath work and meditation, but you can watch it in the episode, and this is a real life advice for us to overcome fears. So in this episode, they were engaged with these enchanted fear vibrations, but in future episodes, I cannot create more spoilers because the stories are still being written, but I can only tell you that in the coming episode, can I tell them, Rob?
Want to give them a hint? Want to give them a taste?
Yes, a teaser.
Space is not the final frontier. That's the teaser.
Oh.
I'll have to check them out once they get released.
Yes. Hopefully soon.
You heard it here first. God's Gang in Space. That's all we
That's
can
right. That's right. P.S. We have somebody on our call or on our webinar right now who does a great impression of Ninju. I wonder if she might want to do it now.
Oh,
Danny
that's a
Berman.
really good question. I try to do the best as I can to do my ninja impression. So here I am, as I am right now, just getting ready for the ninja rap.
Oh,
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Another secret project coming soon.
yes,
Yes.
something. Yeah, so Danny is not only an ally of God's Gang, she's one of God's Gang now. She's part of the cast and crew. So coming soon, you'll see.
I'm really excited about that, and it's been such a great honor to be part of the God's Gang team, and I definitely am looking forward to do the further projects in the future.
It's
Yes.
our honor and our pleasure. And maybe it's a good opportunity here also to remind that basically the building blocks, the essence of God's Gang is based on how we can all work together. And the best way for us, we've written it here, is just by applying shared values. Like, can you see my shirt?
Yes.
Like kindness,
Compassion and love.
and gratitude,
Gratitude and
And
unity.
and unity.
Of that.
And if we will all remember to be kind on our day-to-day and compassionate and in gratitude, we can all unite through love. So that's the message of God's Gang.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Nimrod.
And,
You know-
Marlene, I just wanted to add that many of those words were in Danny's video that we did the spotlight video.
That's right.
I recognize many of those same themes.
Yes. Yeah. So Danny was one of the folks that we made a mini documentary about and we screened 6 mini documentaries at the conference, and Danny's was one of them. And we took Danny's and we entered it into film festivals and competitions afterwards, and it went on to greatness at San Diego Comic-Con and so forth. But Danny's message was very inspirational, very positive, for a message for all people, not just people on the spectrum, about don't listen to the haters. That was one of the messages. Yes.
Haters are gonna hate.
Yes. And it was just really a talk that I think anybody could relate to, and some words that people could use to inspire themselves on a day-to-day basis, but particularly for the autism community. So we have some questions in the chat. Perhaps we could get to a few of those before we need to wrap up. Let's see. Oh, okay, Danny, here's a question for you. Does Danny Mason also do 3D?
Well, we are in the process of expanding to different mediums. In the future, we will expand to CGI animation at the moment. Eventually we'll expand to animation, CGI animation as part of the Danimation branch in the future.
Good to know. There's a question for Atticus too. Atticus, someone, a gentleman, I think this is a gentleman named Savag, wants to know, is Atticus Baldwin related to actor Alec Baldwin?
Well, I commented, I said yes.
Oh, you did. Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't see your response.
Yes,
Okay.
he's it's true, Savag. He's he is he and I, we are related, yes.
Thanks for clearing that up, Atticus.
Related to many Baldwins.
Yes, many Baldwin, all the
Yeah.
Baldwins, and some Biebers as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Savag also has a very good question for you, Cathy. What is the difference between an externship and an internship?
Well, an internship, the externships that they did, they had to, well, Danny, you can probably explain this better than me.
I never would. Well, first of all, I haven't heard of the term externship before. I've heard what an internship just means. You're just basically working within the studio and getting to know the base, getting to know the aspects about what the studio is like, and a little bit of the experience. And it's like a tiny little job opportunity temporarily. For an externship, I had no idea what an externship is, but I know what an apprenticeship is. So
Right.
internships are usually applied to student when you're taking a job while you're a student at like a university. Well, apprenticeship, on the other hand, is like when you're alumni or like working alongside with the professional that you know of. You're just being the apprentice to the particular professional.
Right.
Yes.
They just when Remy was at Woodbury, that's what they called it. To me, I always called it an internship, like as well. But they had these relationships with different studios, and Remy called Danny, and Danny said yes, and it was, it's literally Danny is why I'm sitting here. So thank you, Danny.
Rob, Savag has an important question for you too, which is an actual typewriter and not a computer.
You got me there. It's just a computer, but I was doing something that in comedy they suggest creating a funny, good visual image for your person that you're trying to make laugh. So I thought computer might not be as funny as me actually like throwing the typewriter around. So, but yeah, I do not use a typewriter. I use a computer.
I do have the exact what an externship. It's a temporary training program in a workplace, especially one offered to students as part of a course study. So that was just part of the course at Woodbury University, and so that's why they call it an externship.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like external. I get the definite differences between internal and internal and external.
Right. You know, when I first met Danny, we were going to look at the school, and I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt this young lady was going to go places. She walked up to my daughter and I. She goes, "Hello, I'm Danny Bowman. Here's my card." And I love her.
Wow.
I love her.
Okay.
You?
There aren't too many incoming freshmen who hand out business cards, I don't think. Danny, you might have been the only one. And
yeah, it's true, because how many students on the spectrum have been like entrepreneurs? Well, student entrepreneur is actually is an actual rarity.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a rarity, Danny, no matter if you're on the spectrum or not. I think that you were just born to do this, and it wouldn't have mattered because you're on the spectrum or not on the spectrum. I just think that's who you are in your soul. And Danny was just so welcoming. Danny is older than my daughter, so my daughter was a freshman, so that she went out of her shell and went up and approached us, Danny, and handed her card. And they had lunch together many days, and she was just a really good role model.
And I've always helped, that's what we do at D-Animation. If I can do it, Remington can, and so is the rest of the future generations of people on the autism spectrum. It's our goal. The goal is to give people on the spectrum some confidence. And then it gets passed on to the next person on the spectrum.
Mm-hmm. And you do that every day, all day, every day, Danny.
It's true. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Judy, should we be wrapping up now, or can we take
I think so. It's hard because we're covering the whole world. maybe let's end with the event coming up this Sunday, which some of the people here are going to be in and at, and I just want to acknowledge Rob and his tying this the Kevin Bacon effect on how we even are going to be at the Laugh Factory. So maybe you and Rob can finish that off and thank everybody for being here today.
So what Judy said.
She has no voice, and I was a terrible assistant.
No, we all contributed. This was a great success. But yes, on Sunday at 1 o'clock at the Laugh Factory in Hollywood, due to the original efforts of Rob and also Maya Watkins, whose husband Jeremiah will be performing, and Mike Rotman. They put together the first Neurodivergent comedy night, and we're getting ready to do the fourth one. And the fourth one is actually not a night, it's an afternoon, 1:30 p.m. at the Laugh Factory, and it's a whole extravaganza of comedy and music and even a film. We'll have a short film premiere. Danny will be performing her trivia, her 90s animation trivia, which is just a spectacular feat to behold. And yeah, it's all happening this Sunday, the 7th at 1:30 p.m. at the Laugh Factory, and you can buy your tickets online. And we'll have cool T-shirts and other things with the poster that was designed by Amos Stillwell of Spectrum Laboratory. Yay for Amos! And yeah, did I forget anything, Judy? I think.
No, it's great. I'll put a link to the tickets in the chat.
Rob, do you have anything to add? No? Okay. Nimrod, any parting words?
I had a wonderful time, and I'm very grateful to be here, and thanks everyone for joining. It's a privilege.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Atticus and Cathy and Danny, Nimrod, Rob.
Nice to meet everybody.
Okay.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.